Welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast. This is episode 34, and I'm talking to York Region Concussion Clinic. And 4 members of the team are with me on the phone or on Skype. So I'll let them now describe their clinic and their new podcast. So let's go to you first here.
So my name is Taher. I'm the sports doctor at the York Region Concussion Clinic. And Caitlin and Ricky Ma were the first people in the program with me. Caitlin is our occupational therapist. I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Caitlin Hano. I'm the occupational therapist on the team, and I'll pass it on to the other 2 members.
Hi, I'm Donna Chan. I'm the physiotherapist on the team.
And I'm Mona Ubi. I'm the optometrist.
And missing is Dr. Boulanger. She's the GP that we have to help coordinate things. And
Ricky
Ma, he's missing. He's working across the street right now. John Wong, the audiologist. Ruben Dos Santos, our administrative person. And Mo Garshasp, and that is our physiotherapy assistant.
Okay, well that's a lot more people than I have working with me. So now so you guys have decided to do a podcast, and I'm trying to get my sound is all messed up here. But can you talk about your decision to do a podcast and what you're hoping to get out of your podcast and frankly your clinic in general? So I'll ask you this question first. What is your clinic focused on? Well, I know obviously concussions, but what are your outpatient clinic? And I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just what I'll let you get the mic closer. Okay. Good. Sir, go ahead, sir.
So, before we did this program, we used to see a lot of concussions in family practice and in the walk-in clinic and urgent care. However, a lot of people wouldn't get the care they needed, and it became apparent to me that they needed multidisciplinary care. So they needed an OT, all the members that we have in our team, and even more, in fact. And so we started attending workshops and conferences, trying to get more knowledge, more education, doing lots of reading. All of us cumulatively drawn a lot of clinical experience, so that really stood us in good stead. But it's been a learning process for about 4 or 5 years now, in addition to our clinical backgrounds. And once we got into it, and we started getting familiar with the workings of the brain and psychological illness, it's very fascinating, and it sucks you in, and it gets you deeper and deeper in, and you realize that a lot of conditions that doctors see on a regular basis are actually these conditions. They don't always have to be in concussions, and so it was very encouraging, and this is why we continue now to grow in this area. Right now in our program, we serve a niche that is not currently being satisfied in our region. There are a few people helping out and on the same side, but there's just not enough of us. And so our goal with this podcast is to help all of the people who need the help, so other healthcare practitioners and patients alike, and not even just in this country, but internationally, to get the education they need about concussions and brain injuries. And we're committed to we have 3 out there now, we're committed to add 11 more this year, and then we're going to continue next year. So as we learn more, as we have more experience, we're going to share that with everyone. And we're hoping that it'll demystify the illness, because for a lot of people, it's that mystery of not knowing what's going on with them, and if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that's the most disconcerting part.
And it's a great forum for education for concussion, because a lot of our patients do have visual deficits, have difficulty reading, and I guess even accumulating all their own information. So I think having it all together on a podcast that they can listen to, it's a clever way of knowledge dissemination.
And we started off actually with a handbook for patients, and then we did a website. But the problem is a lot of people with this injury don't really like reading too much. It causes them symptoms. And so it was Dr. Boulanger's idea to say, we should just do a podcast so people can just listen. And so that's when it all started.
Great. Nope. Sorry, did you want to add something?
I feel like the two of them summed it up perfectly, to be quite honest.
Okay, great. Sorry, this is a bit tough with my but the way the reason with the audio is messed up, a bit weird, because I'm trying to get this audio off my iPad to my computer, and it's difficult. Anyway, that's why my thought process is a bit messed up too, I think. Now I'm speaking really loudly according to this. Anyway,
You want to take a break while you figure that out?
no, because I'm never gonna figure this out. Whoa, geez, that was loud. I think anyway. I'm never. I guess I'll just speak slower. That's why I'm too excited there. I guess me. I don't know what. Anyway, I'll figure it out eventually, or it won't. But we'll see. But this podcast will go out either way. But I just want to ask you guys. Also, there's only 4 of you here. Taher, Kaylin, Donna, and Mona. So why do you? That's for stick with first names. That's easy. Well, what gave you? Why are you so interested in concussion specifically? And I will ask. Well, whoever wants to start can start, but I'll give you an nod when the mic is nearby the machine.
Well, actually, I think we know why I'm excited about it and interested, but I'm actually interested to hear why Mona's interested in concussions.
So I actually started seeing concussion patients during my residency in 2016. I did a residency at Nova Southeastern University in Florida. So I started seeing concussion patients once a week, and it was my mentor, Sir Bonsal, who really enlightened that passion in me. Coming back, I realized that there was really a huge deficit here, and I landed in a clinic in Barrie where I was able to start servicing people with concussions in an area that was underserviced for sure, in that at least in Barrie for sure. From there, I was actually, it was Dr. Chug who reached out to me and brought me onto the team here. But the biggest passion for me is really seeing the amount of difference I can make for these people. When after an injury, I can see the difficulties they're having in spatial awareness, just busy, crowded environments. It's almost like they lose their entire quality of life. So being able to help them kind of get back into life again, that's really why I do it.
Great. Okay, and we're back with Donna.
Hi. So yes, I was saying that concussion is actually a very new field to me. I was actually, Dr. Shahid was just saying that I was actually sucked in, but I was saying that in my previous clinics, I would be dealing with, say, like people with MVA or like sports injury, and then from my previous clinic, I guess it's not as multidisciplinary. So sometimes I'll be treating patients and I'll just be treating their neck, and they'll never seem to get better with their other symptoms. Like sometimes they'll be getting like headaches and dizziness, and those are things that I feel like I was addressing, but I really couldn't get to the core of the problem. And then it wasn't until after I joined your concussion that I learned that there's so much involved in a concussion, and if I were just to treat a neck and musculoskeletal, I was just in a musculoskeletal injury, I would never be able to get to the base of all the symptoms.
You know, Nick, like I feel like a lot of people are shy about getting into treating this injury.
Yeah.
Because you can feel out of your element because there's so many systems that are affected. So one's sense of self is affected. Their brain overreacts to things that are mundane, that they're exposed to every day and they used to take for granted, but now they can no longer take it for granted. Things like just being able to focus on something that comes closer to you, or being able to pick something out of a crowd or go to a grocery store, keep your balance as you're walking down the steps, go to sleep at the right time without neck pain that's keeping you awake, not have a headache all the time. And so when you get like a physiotherapist who has to treat an injury that covers so many different systems, it can be very intimidating, especially when they have so many other things they can do that's less challenging and it remunerates the same amount. And so this is why I told Donna, she was kind of sucked in, because I was telling her that don't worry, you have the support of me, Caitlin, Mona, Ricky, all of us, and together we can get the job done. And Donna has been one of the best additions to our team. She's definitely the nicest on the team, unanimously voted by all the patients. And she handles most of our somatosensory type training. She handles all our vision therapy, and along with Dr. Ubi and under her guidance, and also understands the vestibular implications and how it factors everything. So she's being very modest, but our team gave her the confidence and the courage to do it, and then she's one of our star players.
Definitely never thought I'll be getting into all these different types of fields where it's like I'll be doing vision therapy and like doing a lot more somatosensory training that I would never thought I would be doing.
We just want her to work a few more days with us. Which is giving us, 3 days now? 2? But you said you're going to give 3.
Soon.
Because the patients are asking, they need the help. And it's, as Donna has said, it's very rewarding work. But I think I'll turn it over to Caitlin, because she's kind of like the main, the person that patients see the most in our program.
It definitely depends on the patient. It depends on what they need. But for sure, at the beginning of the injury, I think I have a pretty important role to play. I got into it in a little bit more of a structured way than most people did. During my occupational therapy, my master's program, I did a clinical placement at Holland Bloorview. They have a concussion program there for kids that's amazing. And I realized how much of an impact occupational therapy and just even healthcare in general treatment can have for individuals with concussions. So that's when I really got interested in it. And then timing worked out. I was lucky and saw this job application and went for it. But more than that too, I've had a personal experience when I was younger too with concussion. So that's something that always, spurred that interest. And, of course, caring for the patients and seeing how interesting the injuries are, because there's such a diverse profile of symptoms, and like everyone else was explaining too, right? It's so variable, and everyone has their, I guess, unique profile of deficits, and no one person with a concussion is the same as another. So it makes it interesting.
Now, like, we all kind of support each other, and there's a lot of overlap between all our roles, but Caitlin is in charge or implements certain things in our program that are very successful. So, for example, she implements our cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, and our success rate in that is close to 100%. And that is, no, it's true. She's being modest, but it's true.
For the people that listen, not everyone decides to follow.
I honestly feel some people just say, yeah, their sleep is better because they don't want to follow these rules anymore. But the success rate is very high, and it's without medication. And what people end up saying is that we feel very empowered by learning about our sleep and cognitions around our sleep, that in the future, if something were to arise where our sleep was affected, we feel like we have the knowledge and the know-how now to get our sleep back on track. So it's more than just fixing the problem. It's investing in their education so they can help themselves in the future in an ongoing fashion. Another thing that Caitlin implements is biofeedback. So biofeedback involves using technology to gather information about one's autonomic nervous system. And as you may know, with this injury, there's a lot of autonomic nervous system dysfunction that presents itself in many ways, in many different symptoms. And so she will help people become mindful of the things that are kind of thrown awry, and she will give them strategies on how to fix that through different relaxation techniques, different mindfulness techniques. And it's been a very empowering thing for patients to know that they do have implements of something that they otherwise thought was automatic, something that they can do without medication, and something that they can do if they're on a bus and they're starting to feel some symptoms. They can practice something like warming their fingertips, and that visualization, or some people don't use visualization to achieve that, but whatever method they find is useful to achieve that, it will end up helping them with some of their symptoms. And it's that neurological process that is specifically is inhibiting the sympathetic nervous system in that exercise, it can help them with many of their symptoms. And so she implements that. She also implements energy management strategies, which is a huge part of this injury. So there's a lot of fatigue involved, and she gives people. She makes a sea of confusion seem orderly and conquerable. And finally, she also helps people with cognitive problems. So, for instance, she will give them, and that was her background, so she'll give them strategies on how to compensate for some of the cognitive deficiencies. And then she'll give them real life rehab scenarios where they can help test some of those abilities in attention and problem solving, executive functioning. And I think there's even more you do.
Yeah, definitely.
So she's being modest, but that's why I'm saying most patients will see her more than anyone else, because it's all that in-between stuff, that scut work, that she helps people with and gives them order. She was also involved, and all of us were involved, but a lot of it was her, implementing exercise journals online, where people, because we found that a lot of people found it very hard to comply with the recommendations because there's just so much involved, so many systems, so many team members, so many recommendations. So she would help them organize it on a journal online, and they would enter their exercises in real time online, and we would review it online, and then we would give them feedback and help them advance their program, or sometimes it was over ambitious, and we would scale it back a bit so that we could find that happy medium that would support them to advance at the most efficient rate.
Well, okay. I was nodding and stuff, and wanted to say yes, nod stuff, but this stupid mic is being annoying. Anyway, now I'm speaking too loudly again. But anyway, that's part of the fun of podcasting, I guess. You never know what you're gonna get here. Anyway, yeah. So it's just freaking me that you threw it there, because first of all, it just because one of my major issues was is that I've had double vision since my brain injury in 2003, and I know that's affected my walking and all that and concentration. So I wonder if you could talk about, because see, Donna's now. Mona. Sorry, I get the name's confused. Mona is Mona is now up front here, but I'm talking way too loud now. Anyway, so yeah, my double vision, I know is that's affected my balance, because my balance is off, and I'm using yoga to actually help me with mindfulness, to help me with that. A lot too happens for a while now. Yoga and Pilates and mindfulness, and yeah. So if you could all talk about, and actually, Kaylin, sleep. My sleep has been it's been great lately, but earlier, like when in say 5 years to up to maybe 10 years since my brain injury, it was pretty bad. But my sleep wasn't good, and my double vision and hence balance were off. So if you could talk about double vision and how that affects basically all that stuff, and sleep, and how that affects everything Donna everything Donna did. So double vision and sleep and balance. So vestibular, ocular, and whatever the circadian are doing. So if you could just talk about that for a few seconds.
I'll start with some vision. So mostly what I find tends to be affected when the visual system is involved. There's usually a lot of headaches, nausea. Sometimes there can be some dizziness, a lot of feeling not grounded or feeling off is what I hear from a lot of patients.
Yeah.
Double vision tends to be something that's quite common as well, and there's different aspects to double vision. So double vision can be something that's there all the time. It can be there just sometimes. It can be there only far away. It can be there only close up, or pretty much all ranges, right? So there's to really know what's causing the double vision, the most important thing is doing what's called a binocular vision evaluation. So really looking at the visual systems of how the eyes are working together, how they're focusing, how they're tracking, and that'll give a clear-cut picture of exactly why that double vision is occurring. From there, treatment-wise, sometimes I'll use Prism just as almost like a crutch until I can use vision therapy as a way to really teach that system how to work the way it's supposed to help teach the eyes how to work better together, to focus together, to track together, to really help with the efficiency of that system ultimately.
All good. Let's get this thing over here. Great. Oh, yeah, no, I've had double vision.
So, a lot of binocular vision specialists deal with congenital type problems. And the added challenge in brain injuries is that many other systems are affected at the same time.
Yeah.
And so, like for a lot of congenital people, they might not have the same imbalances that concussion people have. So we've all seen that sometimes people are not quite ready for vision therapy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to relearn some of the things they learned when they were 2 years old in terms of somatosensory system. Around 4 to 6 years old, there's a lot of reintegration of the sensory weighting where people start moving away from vision as the main sense that guides postural control. They start moving towards somatosensory and vestibular senses because, one, they're faster, and two, gravity doesn't change, but our visual environment does change, so they are more reliable. And so intuitively we develop that, but what happens is in concussion is a lot of people have these binocular vision problems, but they also now have vestibular problems or somatosensory problems. Like, for instance, there are studies showing that even in NCAA athletes, so athletes that are very highly trained, after they've had a concussion and then had that concussion rehabilitated, they still have a 2 times higher incidence of lower extremity injuries, for example. So it shows that, the injury leaves a legacy at times, and maybe we just have to be a little bit more aggressive in finding these deficiencies and helping them out, because the visual system will develop in the context of the body, obviously, our somatosensory awareness, our vestibular awareness. So many times, I think your experience has been that when people are vestibularly trained properly and somatosensory trained and their sleep is well under control, their energy is well managed, their success rate in vision therapy is much higher, and it's more fun for them, and it's smoother, and it's more intuitive for them. So this goes again to that whole multidisciplinary theme that we keep bringing up, and the fact that a practitioner we had an optometrist reach out that was interested in joining the team because she felt out of her element doing this alone. She wanted the support of a team. And I have to say, I totally empathize with where she's coming from because I couldn't do what the specific things that Mona does or Donna does or Caitlin does, but we can support each other in getting the job done.
I will say I'm very spoiled being here at York Region Concussion Clinic because by the time they see me, they've already done a lot of somatosensory and vestibular, like Dr. Chug was saying. So their vision therapy program tends to be a lot quicker. Their recovery tends to be a lot quicker. So it's definitely something I completely encourage with all the patients, for sure.
She's the Cristiano Ronaldo of the program. She knocks in all the goals and takes all the glory.
At the end.
Okay, I'm now trying to got this thing upside down now. But, yeah, so does Caitlin or Donna want to talk about either vestibular, circadian rhythm, or balance, or all of them, or those are the issues that I just wanted out in general. So how would say if someone came and say concussion, their main complaint is double vision, but where'd you go and sleep? Let's say so, sleep and double vision. Where'd you think? Where should you go first? See Caitlin about sleep, or see Donna about vestibular issues?
So Donna doesn't really handle our vestibular therapy. She works with Dr. Moss or Ricky in coordinating the vestibular therapy. So I would probably be the person that can answer the vestibular stuff the most. I'm kind of the person who can do what all these ladies do, but maybe not as expert as they do it. But I like a lot of times when they go on vacation, like when Caitlin was away, I was doing all the same kind of things she does. So the biofeedback, the energy management, books the patients needed the help still, doing the work accommodations, the school accommodations for them, helping them with their sleep. A lot of times when Dr. Ma's backed up with vestibular therapy, I'm seeing patients and doing vestibular therapy with them. So the vestibular end, I could probably answer more, but the sleep end, Caitlin can answer when it comes to CBT for insomnia.
Sure. So, I always think that sleep is a very good place to start. So, sort of in how we see people in the clinic, they always start off with sort of a general assessment. Dr. Chuck does that, and that gives us a good idea of where we want to start off with therapy. So, I know we just covered vision therapy, which is sort of that endpoint typically, but after that first assessment, a lot of the time they get started right away with some of the physical rehabilitation for the neck with Donna, and then a lot of the education, energy management, definitely targeting sleep with me. So I love starting off with sleep quite soon because it's something that everyone knows really does impact how you function during the day and mood and recovery in general. Is there something specific you'd like me to talk about in regards to sleep?
I don't think so. I just no, because it's more insomnia that I was feeling like for the first like let's say 8 years, 9 years, 10 years since injury. It's been 15 now. So and now my sleep is good and my balance is good, not good but better, and my double vision is still there, same as it always was, well, maybe more or less, and yeah, no, so just kind of getting a taste of what you guys do. Really, isn't really so much as I'm not looking for a diagnosis or anything. I know, not an idea. But I mean, like,
I wish you were here. So
yeah, yeah, no, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. But yeah, no. So what, Donna? What do you do towards balance? If someone with the balance, and it's not necessarily just strictly vestibular. It's more that they have weak hips or from their brain injury.
Yeah, so patients normally come to me for neck pain, neck stiffness. Usually we get the neck portion under control before referring for a vestibular assessment, only because with a lot of the vestibular exercises that patients need to do require a lot of neck movement. So you normally like to address the neck first before going into that. So when patients come to see me, I try to give them exercises to help with neck movement, to help with the pain. And usually it's not only about the neck, but a whole bodily function. So what they're doing throughout the day, are they over facilitating their neck muscles? So we normally teach them how to move their body properly so that you can engage your whole body as your core. Also like using your hip with movement so that you don't over facilitate the neck muscles.
In many ways, we're recreating normal human development. So the way children move from the beginning, moving about their center of gravity, we're implementing that right when we're training their neck. So first we train them how to move their neck with the proper neuromuscular strategies, and then integrating that into a global setting. So using that with proper neuromuscular control of the core, integrating that with breathing, and then the breathing will work towards biofeedback training. The core activation and breathing will also work towards vestibular training. So even, she's again being modest, but when you're training the neck, we're already setting the pathway for vestibular therapy, vision therapy, biofeedback, mindfulness, because for them to be able to affect a change, they have to be able to be aware of what's going on with them in a very studious manner, so in a manner that's more observant and less judgmental and more with an eye to with a spirit of exploration.
Okay, this. And I'm back. Okay, yeah, this mic thing is awkward, but is there is there anything else you'd like to talk about, like about your podcast, your clinic, that you think you would like other people to know? One second. ahead. Go ahead.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all very passionate about this work. We all had other things we could have done before and we were doing before, but we really see this as an area that is underserviced right now, and an area that's very fascinating that underlies a lot of health problems that are not quite addressed by mainstream medicine. This can support mainstream medicine. So we spend a lot of time supporting family doctors with some of these more neurological illnesses and how to foster performance in these neurological domains. Because most of medicine is focused on pharmacology and healthy lifestyle, but we're trying to be more specific and demystify the injury. So we're students also. Although we're quote-unquote experts, we're also students in this field. And this year, for example, we're adding even more to the program in terms of neurofeedback. We're adding more advanced headache management type treatments. We're adding more psychological type treatments, things around PTSD, which is very common in this injury. We're adding more advanced cognitive remediation and rehabilitation type strategies, and we're peppering it throughout the program. And it's very satisfying for us because we have patients who have been sick for over a year sometimes or longer, and then we see them get back to work with our support. And I feel a lot of that comes just from our energy too, just giving them that hope, giving them that support, knowing that we're there for them. And so the current medical model right now makes it very hard to offer the time that concussion patients require, at least in an outpatient setting, because of funding, the way funding works. But we've made that sacrifice because we really do want to help these people. At the same time, to be able to help them properly, the challenge we face is how to do it in a way that's sustainable and in a public healthcare model. And so sometimes patients, they don't see the whole picture, but this whole process for us has been one that has been very rewarding because despite our challenges and trying to figure it all out for them, they have been very appreciative throughout it all. And so it's given us a taste for service, and we're encouraged to continue down this road. And so that's why the podcast was started, in a spirit of service. And we plan on continuing it to share everything that we learn, all the new things that we learn from healthcare practitioners that are doing it elsewhere in the United States. We're getting lots of knowledge from our colleagues there, and we just want to share it with Canadians and other countries. And that's why we wanted to put it on iTunes and these other forums.
Okay, great. I really wish we could talk longer, but we can actually. But this thing is really awkward now. I wish this sound system was working a bit better. But otherwise, I mean, please check out. I'll try to quiet down a bit now again. Please check out Concussion 101 podcast from York Region Concussion, and there are 3 out now. Is that correct? There are 3 out now.
There's 3 out now, and then we'll be releasing more this year. I think 14 was what's in store for our listeners.
Great, 14. Wow. So that's okay. So I wish I did this before. This is a way better way to get you guys to talk instead of having to move their. Anyway, I'm moving my iPad. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. So yeah, so that was a great chat, and hopefully the sound is not too messed up for everyone listening. But if hopefully it's not, and even if it is, listen to the Concussion 101 podcast by York Region Concussion Clinic. It's on YouTube and Stitcher and anything else, and anywhere else.
iTunes.
And iTunes. So please check this podcast out. And I will now just thank Taher, Dr. Chuk, Caitlin Hino, Donna Chan, and Mona Oopsie. Oopie? Oop. I'm trying to pronounce that wrong. Which one did I get? Which one was right? I said two.
I'm pretty sure Mona Ubi.
Mona Ubi. I got it now. Okay. So thank you to them, and I will hopefully everyone's listening in next week when hopefully the sound is working a bit better. Thank you to York Region Concussion Clinic, and thanks to everyone for listening. I apologize for the disjointed audio of the podcast and for my disjointed thoughts. I hope you'll listen again next week. Please check out my website at www.concussiontalks.com, where you can find my new blogs and more of my podcasts, my Big Show Across Canada, Phoenix Concussion Podcast, and more Concussion Talk podcasts. As always, music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound, www.bensound.com.